This play is called Our Town. The day is May 7th, 1901. The time is just before dawn. The sky is beginning to show some streaks of light over in the east there, behind our mountain. Well, I'd better show you how our town lies. Up here is Main Street. Way back there is the railway station. Polished towns across the tracks. Over there is a congregational church. Across the streets, the Presbyterian. Methodist and Unitarian are over there. Baptist is down in the hola by the river. Catholic Church is over beyond the tracks. Here's the town hall and post office combined. Jail's in the basement. Here's the grocery store, and here's Mr. Morgan's drugstore. Most everybody in town manages to look into those two stores once a day. Public schools over yonder. High schools still farther over. 9:15 mornings, noon times, and 3 o'clock afternoons, the whole town can hear the yelling and screaming of those schoolyards. This is our doctor's house, Doc Gibbs. This is the back door. This is Mrs. Gibbs' garden. Corn, peas, beans, hollyhocks, heliotrope, and a lot of burdock. And this is Mrs. Webb's garden. Just like Mrs. Gibbs, only it's got a lot of sunflowers too. Nice town. You know what I mean.
Nobody very remarkable ever come out of it as far as we know. The earliest tombstones in the cemetery up there on the mountain say 1670 to 1680. There are Grovers and Cartwrights and Gibbses and Herseys. Same names as are around here now. Well, as I said, it's about dawn. So, another day's begun. There's Dr. Gibbs coming down Main Street now. And here's his wife coming downstairs to get breakfast.
Morning, Doc.
Morning, Joe.
Somebody been sick, Doc?
No, just some twins born over in Polish Town.
Oh, do you want your paper now?
Yes, I'll take it. Anything serious going on in the world since Wednesday?
Yes, sir. My school teacher, Miss Foster, is getting married to a fellow over in Concord.
I declare. How do you boys feel about that?
Well, of course, it's none of my business. But I think if a person starts out to be a teacher, she ought to stay one.
Want to tell you something about that boy Joe Crowell there. Joe was awful bright. Graduated from high school here. Head of his class. So he got a scholarship to Massachusetts Tech. Graduated head of his class there too. It was all wrote up in the Boston paper at the time. Going to be a great engineer Joe was. But the war broke out and he died in France. All that education for nothing.
Giddy up, Bessie! What's the matter with you today?
Here comes Howie Newsom, delivering the milk.
Morning, Doc.
Morning, Howie.
Somebody sick?
Pair twins over to Mrs. Losky.
Twins, eh? This town's getting bigger every year.
Morning, Howie.
Morning, Mrs. Gibbs.
Seems like you're late today.
Yes, something went wrong with the separator. Don't know what it was.
Is that so? Well then, children! Children, time to get up!
Come on, Bessie.
George! Rebecca! Everything all right, Frank?
Yes, I declare. Easy as kittens.
Sit down and drink your coffee. You can catch a couple hours of sleep this morning, can't you?
Mrs. Wentworth's coming at 11. Guess I know what's about to.
All told, you won't get more than 3 hours sleep. Frank Gibbs, I don't know what's going to become of you. I do wish I could get you to go away someplace and take a rest. I think it would do you good. I declare you go to speak to George. Seems like something's come over him lately. He's no help to me at all. I can't even get him to cut me some wood.
Is he sassy to you?
No, he just whines. All he thinks about is that baseball. George! Rebecca, you'll be late for school! George!
George, look sharp.
Yes, Pa!
Don't you hear your mother calling you? I guess I'll go upstairs and get 40 wings.
Wally! Emily! You'll be late for school! Wally! You wash yourself good or I'll come up and do it myself.
Ma, what dress shall I wear?
Don't make a noise! Your father's been out all night and needs his sleep. I wash and iron the blue gingham for you.
Ma, I hate that dress.
Oh, hush up with you.
Every day I go to school dressed like a sick turkey.
Now, Rebecca, you always look very nice.
Mama, George throwing soap at me.
I'll come and slap the both of you, that's what I'll do.
We've got a factory in our town too. Hear it? Makes blankets.
Children, now I won't have it. Breakfast is just as good as any other meal, and I won't have you gobbling like wolves. It'll stunt your growth. That's a fact. Put away your book, Wally.
Oh, Ma, at 10 o'clock, I got to know all about Canada.
You know the rules well as I do. No books at the table. As for me, I'd rather have my children healthy than bright.
I'm both, Mama. You know I am. I'm the brightest girl in school for my age. I have a wonderful memory.
Eat your breakfast.
I'm bright too when I'm looking at my stamp collection.
I'll speak to your father about it when he's rested. Seems to me 25 cents a week is enough for a boy your age. I declare I don't know how you spent it all.
Oh, Ma, I got a lot of things to buy.
Strawberry phosphates, that's what you spend it on.
I don't see how Rebecca comes to have so much money. She has more than $1.
I've been saving it up gradual.
Well, dear, I think it's a good thing to spend some very now and then.
Mama, do you know what I love the most in the world? Do you? Money.
Eat your breakfast.
Mama, there's the first bell. We gotta hurry. We don't want anymore. We gotta hurry.
Walk fast, but you don't have to run. Wally, pull up your pants to the knee. Stand up straight, Emily.
Tell Miss Foster I sent her my best congratulations. Can you remember that?
Yes, Ma.
You look real nice, Rebecca. Pick up your feet.
Goodbye.
Now we're going to skip a few R's. But first, we want a little more information about the town. Kind of a scientific account, you might say. So I've asked Professor Willard of our state university to sketch in a few details of our past history here. Is Professor Willard here? May I introduce Professor Willard of our state university.
Grover's Corners, let me see. Grover's Corners lies on the old Pleistocene granite of the Appalachian Range. I may say it's some of the oldest land in the world. We're very proud of that. Some highly interesting fossils have been found. I may say unique fossils. 2 miles out of town in Silas Peckham's cow pasture. Shall I read some of Professor Gruber's notes on the meteorological situation, mean precipitation, etc.?
Afraid we don't have the time for that, Professor. We might have a few words on the history of man here.
Yes, anthropological data. Early Amerindian stock. Cotahache tribes. No evidence before the 10th century of this era. Now entirely disappeared. Possible traces in 3 families.
And the population, Professor Willard?
Within the town limits, 2,640.
Just a moment, Professor.
Oh yes, indeed. The population at the moment is 2,642. The postal district brings in 507 more, making a total of 3,149. Mortality and birth rates constant by MacPherson's gauge 6.032.
Thank you very much, Professor. We all very much obliged to you, I'm sure.
Not at all, sir, not at all.
This way, Professor. And thank you again. Now the political and social report. Editor Webb. Mr. Webb?
He'll be here in a minute. He just cut his hand while he was eating an apple.
Thank you, Mrs. Webb.
Charles! Everybody's waiting.
Mr. Webb is the publisher and editor of the Grover's Corners Sentinel. That's our local people, you know.
Well, I don't have to tell you that we're run here by a board of selectmen. All males vote at the age of 21. Women vote indirect. We're lower middle class. Sprinkling of professional men. 10% illiterate laborers. Politically, we're 86% Republicans, 6% Democrats, 4% Socialist, rest indifferent. Religiously, we're 85% Protestants, 12% Catholics, rest indifferent.
Have you any comments, Mr. Webb?
Very ordinary town, if you ask me. Little better behaved than most, but our young people here seem to like it well enough. 90% of them graduating from high school settled down right here to live, even when they've been away to college.
Now, is there anyone in the audience who would like to ask Editor Webb anything about the town?
Oh, Mr. Webb? Mr. Webb, is there any culture or love of beauty in Grover's Corners?
Well, ma'am, there ain't much. Not in the sense you mean. Come to think of it, there's some girls that play the piano at high school commencement, but they ain't happy about it. No, ma'am, there isn't much culture, but maybe this is the place to tell you that we've got a lot of pleasures of a kind in here. We like the sun coming up over the mountain in the morning, and we all notice a good deal about the birds. We pay a lot of attention to them, and we watch the change of seasons. Yes, everybody knows about them.
Thank you, Mr. Webb. Now, we'll go back to the town. It's early afternoon. All 2,642 have had their dinners and all the dishes have been washed. There's an early afternoon calm in our town. A buzzing and humming from the school buildings. Only a few buggies on Main Street. The horses dozing at the hitching post. You all remember what it's like. Doc Gibbs is in his office, tapping people and making them say ah. Mr. Webb's cutting his law over there. No, sir. It's later than I thought. There are the children coming home from school already.
I can't, Louis. I've got to go home and help my mother. I promised.
Emily, walk simply. Who do you think you are today?
Papa, you're terrible. 1 minute you tell me to stand up straight, and the next minute you call me names. I just don't listen to you. Mwah.
Golly, I never got a kiss from such a great lady before.
Hello, Emily.
Hello.
You made a fine speech in class.
Well, I was really ready to make a speech about the Monroe Doctrine, but at the last minute, Miss Corcoran made me talk about the Louisiana Purchase instead. I worked an awful long time on both of them.
Gee, it's funny, Emily. From my window up there, I can just see your head at nights when you're doing your homework over in your room.
Why can you?
You certainly do stick to it, Emily. I don't see how you can sit still that long. I guess you like school?
Well, I always feel it's something you have to go through.
Yeah.
I don't mind it really. It passes the time.
Yeah. Emily, what do you think? We kinda might work out a telegraph from my window to mine. And once in a while, you could kinda give me a hint or two about one of those algebra problems. I don't mean the answers, Emily. Of course not. Just some little hint.
Oh, I think hints are allowed. So, if you get stuck, George, you whistle to me and I'll give you some hints.
Emily, you're just naturally bright, I guess.
I figure that it's just the way a person's born.
Yeah, but you see, I want to be a farmer. And my Uncle Luke says whenever I'm ready, I can come over and work on his farm. And if I'm any good, I can just gradually have it.
You mean the house and everything?
Yeah, well, thanks. I better be getting out to the baseball field. Thanks for the talk, Emily. Good afternoon, Mrs. Webb.
Good afternoon, George.
So long, Emily.
So long, George!
George Gibbs let himself have a real conversation, didn't he? Why, he's growing up. How old would George be?
I don't know.
Let's see. He must be almost 16.
Mama, I made a speech in class today, and I was very good.
You must recite it to your father at supper. What was it about?
The Louisiana Purchase. I'm going to make speeches all my life. Mama, will you answer me a question? Serious?
Seriously, dear, not serious.
Seriously, will you?
Of course I will.
Mama, am I good looking?
Yes, of course you are. All my children have got good features. I'd be ashamed if they hadn't.
Oh, Mama, that's not what I mean. What I mean is, am I pretty?
I've already told you. Yes. Now, that's enough of that. You have a nice, young, pretty face. I never heard of such foolishness.
Oh, Mama, you never tell us the truth about anything.
I am telling you the truth.
Mama, were you pretty?
Yes, I was, if I do say it. I was the prettiest girl in town next to Mammy Cartwright.
But Mama, you've got to say something about me. Am I pretty enough to get people interested in me?
Emily, you make me tired. Now stop it. You're pretty enough.
No, Mama, you're no help at all.
Well, good deal of time's gone by. It's evening. We can't hear choir practice going on in the congregational church. The children are at home doing their schoolwork. The day's running down like a tower clock.
Now look here, everybody! Music come into the world to give pleasure. Softer! Softer! Get it out of your heads that music is only good when it's loud. You leave loudness to the Methodists. You couldn't beat them even if you wanted to. Now again, tenors!
Psst. Emily!
Hello.
Hello!
I can't work at all. The moonlight's so terrible.
Emily, did you get the third problem?
Which?
The third.
Why, yes, George. That's the easiest of them all.
I don't see it, Emily. Can you give me a hint?
I'll tell you one thing. The answer's in yards.
In yards? How do you mean?
In square yards.
Oh, in square yards.
Yes, George. Don't you see?
Yeah.
In square yards of wallpaper.
Wallpaper. Oh, I see. Thanks a lot, Emily.
You're welcome. My, isn't the moonlight terrible? And choir practice going on. I think if you hold your breath, you can hear the train all the way to Contoocook. Hear it?
What do you know?
Well, I guess I better go back and try to work.
Good night, Emily. And thanks.
Good night, George.
Oh, George, can you calm down a minute?
Yes, Pa.